Clark County Today is presented by Cano Real Estate. Hire an agent, get a team. Learn more by visiting canorealestate.com.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chris Brown. We start off with some big local developments regarding COVID-19 and Clark County. First of all, since our last video, there have been 11 more confirmed cases in Clark County, bringing our total to 412 with 25 fatalities. There are currently 3 people hospitalized with confirmed cases, 2 of which are in intensive care. That hospitalization rate is down from 7 as of late last week. The improving picture around COVID-19 means Clark County could potentially move ahead to the second phase of Governor Jay Inslee's 4-phased Safe Start reopening plan sooner than much of the rest of the state. The governor announced today that 10 more counties, including our own, could apply for a variance to move to phase 2 sooner. Providing the public health officer is on board, hospital capacity is good, and there are fewer than 10 new cases per 100,000 residents over the past 2 weeks. Now, Clark County is trending just under that line in recent weeks, and Dr. Alan Melnick, the county's public health officer, says they anticipate filing the application this week. The lone potential setback would be acquiring letters from each of the area hospitals, attesting to the fact that they have sufficient space available for any surge in cases. One key part of the plan to reopen sooner includes the ability to trace new cases and notify any close contacts of the need to isolate for 14 days. Clark County Council today approved $9.1 million to allow public health to negotiate a contract with the Public Health Institute, which would provide up to 8 teams of contact tracers. Dr. Melnick said he expects they will need fewer than that for the current outbreak, barring a surge in cases. The state on Monday clarified that they will be using a voluntary isolation approach for people exposed to a known case, though local public health departments can choose to enforce an involuntary quarantine in extreme cases. And Clark County Public Health has said there will be no enforced quarantine or in-person checks on those who are supposed to be staying home. Contact tracers will call or text people who've been exposed each day, check for symptoms, and ask if there's anything else the person needs help with in order to remain out of the public for the duration of their quarantine. Well, Clark County staff and elected officials revealed some details late last week on how the county budget has been impacted by stay-at-home orders. The county is anticipating revenue losses of $5 to $13 million this year. To prepare for the revenue shortfall, the county is implementing a phased reduction approach to balance the 2020 budget. The first phase includes a hiring freeze, the elimination of non-essential spending and overtime, and putting some projects on hold. County departments have also submitted draft reduction scenarios and, in combination with current efforts, have been able to realize approximately $4 million in cost savings. Departments will be submitting reduction scenarios to include a 2%, 3%, and 5% reduction that may be realized in June, July, and August. Well, in his column earlier today, editor Ken Vance broke down his observations about the differing approaches Clark County and the city of Vancouver are taking in dealing with decreased revenues due to the coronavirus pandemic. Now, earlier this month, we told you Vancouver officials said they expect to lose up to $45 million in revenue this year, and that was based on the assumption that the stay-at-home order would remain in place for 4 to 6 months. At its worst, Clark County's anticipated budget hit is $32 million less than the city. The difference between those two projections obviously raised Vance's eyebrows. He shared thoughts of County Chair Eileen Quiring and Councillor Gary Medvedji, who each agreed the city assessment of the economic crisis is much more dire than that of the counties. The two also expressed a desire for the county and state to reopen, so they were likely pleased with the governor's announcement today. Well, hard to believe, but election season is officially upon us. The 2020 candidate filing period ended Friday, and among the positions on this year's ballot are 15 spots on the Clark County Home Rule Charter Review Commission. Now, the Home Rule Charter, adopted by voters in 2014, contains a provision that 5 years after its adoption, it will be reviewed by 15 people elected on a nonpartisan basis. A total of 56 candidates have filed for those positions, including some prominent names from the Clark County political scene. And speaking of the County Council, Councilor John Blum filed for re-election to his District 3 seat, which he earned running as a Republican. Now, this year he's filed as an independent, and that opened up a spot for Karen Bowerman to run against Blum as a Republican. Bowerman is the wife of Clark County Republican Party Chairman Earl Bowerman. Other highlights of the filings include a rematch in the race for U.S. Representative in the 3rd Congressional District, where Jamie Herrera Butler will once again battle Democrat Carolyn Long, along with 3 others. In the state Senate, incumbent Ann Rivers will be challenged by fellow Republican John Lee and Democrat Rick Bell. In the state House of Representatives, Republican Vicki Kraft faces a rematch of her close 2018 race against Democrat Tanisha Harris, which Harris lost by just 859 votes. A link to the complete list of candidate filings can be found within our story at clarkcountytoday.com. A parade of vehicles over a mile-and-a-half long greeted people visiting downtown Vancouver on Friday night in an event sparked via social media. Police said it appeared over 1,000 people were part of the event, many milling about in close proximity and sparking concerns from some business owners over their safety amid the COVID-19 pandemic. On Monday, Vancouver City Council urged police and staff to come together to figure out how to prevent a repeat of the event, which led to a few warnings but no arrests. Vancouver Mayor Anne McInerney-Ogle said she was disappointed to see the amount of trash left behind by people attending that event. Council members said they're hopeful that future events can be planned for areas of the city that can handle the amount of people who showed up. City Manager Eric Holmes said they're working with Clark County officials on a strategy to deal with similar events in the future. The Louisville gravel pit in Battleground, currently mined by Cadman Incorporated, ceased operations earlier this month after the Federal Mine Safety and Health Administration, or MSHA, felt an earthen dam was unstable, according to the Washington State Department of Ecology. Cadman, MSHA, and the DOE have all confirmed the closure and said they're working together to remedy the situation as soon as possible. The concern was that the barrier could give way and spill sediment and holding water into the East Fork of the Lewis River, which is located just 500 yards from the mine. County environmental groups and the county itself were not involved in the closure, but did comment that they're in support of the corrective action. For more information on the situation, you can check out our story at clarkcountytoday.com. Well, this Monday marked 40 years since the infamous Mount St. Helens eruption that sent a side of the mountain rushing down the Toutle River Valley at close to the speed of sound. The May 18, 1980 eruption changed what we know about volcanology and the state of active volcanoes in the Pacific Northwest. It also changed the lives of many people here in Clark County. Clark County Today Administrator Heidi Wetzler and photographer Mike Schultz shared their memories about that day. Wetzler remembering her riding a bike to the nearby elementary school to take pictures of the ash plume with her small camera, or her and her family wearing handkerchiefs over their faces to filter out the ash. An aspiring photographer at the time, Schultz was packing up from a Boy Scout camping trip when he turned on the radio. It wasn't until he made it back to Battleground that he understood the enormity of the eruption. A few years later, at the age of 16, Schultz was able to go into the restricted zone with a National Forest photographer and document the destruction. Be sure to share your memories of that day with us in the comments on our story. Well, in sports, there's still time to give the WIAA your opinion on changes to the state basketball tournaments, plus a special salute to Tanner Toulson of Union, who announced his college choice late last week. Here's Paul Valencia with more.
Happy Tuesday to you all. Hey, the WIAA wants your opinion on state basketball tournament formats. You have one more day to answer a survey on the WIAA's app asking your opinion on 3 proposals for the formats. Yakima, pretty close to the geographic center of the state, will be the place to be in all 3 proposals. Spokane will likely continue to play a role, and the Tacoma Dome will only host the Final Four in Class 4A, 3A, and 2A. It won't be there all week. For more detail, as well as a couple of opinions from local coaches, see our story on clarkcountytoday.com. Late last week, Mr. Basketball announced his college plans. Tanner Toulson of Union will be attending Brigham Young University, but it will be a couple of years before he is playing college basketball. First, he will head on a mission for his church. Toulson, named Mr. Basketball by the Washington Coaches Association after leading Union to an undefeated regular season, will be following in his father's footsteps. His dad also went on a mission before college, then starred at BYU. Congratulations, Tanner.
All right, thanks, Paul. And there's your check of the stories we're following for you this Tuesday at clarkcountytoday.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to see when stories are posted. Be the first to know and interact with others in your community. You can also send us news, tips, and story ideas via email, news@clarkcountytoday.com. For all of us, I'm Chris Brown. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.